Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wow Embossing YouTube channel. It's Jane here, and today I'm going to be playing with one of the products from the new mixed media release. So I have got a jar of the new Harlequin mixed media additive. You can see here it looks like small chips of paint in these gorgeous kind of teal and green colours. And there are lots of ways that you can apply these mixed media additives to your projects. You can mix them with your existing embossing powders, you can use them on their own, you can apply them to clear gloss, for example, or you can add them into pastes. There's just so many things that you can do with them. And today I'm going to make a clean and simple style card, and I'm going to add them to this large balloon stencil from MFT Stamps. So I'll link my products below. This is a very old stencil actually, but MFT Stamps have just re-released it in a slightly more updated version. So I'll put the link to the newer one below. And what I'm doing is I'm just ink blending inside this balloon stencil with my Distress Oxide inks. I'm using salvaged patina, peacock feathers and faded jeans. I thought these blue, green, teal colours would go really nicely with the Harlequin colours themselves. So I'm just using my blender brushes to get a nice smooth blend here. I'm starting off with the lightest colour up at the top and blending into my medium colour, and then I'm going back over where the two colours join to get an overlap and make sure they get a really nice smooth blend before finishing with the darker colour on the bottom. I'm applying some glossy accents through the stencil today. So glossy accents is, if you've not used it before, it goes on as a kind of, it's like a liquid glue, but it goes on cloudy in colour, and then it dries completely clear, and it leaves a really nice sheen or a glossy accent to your project. So I've just used my stencil paste tool from Simon Hurley, and I'm applying that kind of down flat, so I can just scrape that glossy accents down through the stencil and cover that whole area. I've popped a bit of masking tape on the bottom just to make sure that I don't accidentally get it in that little gap, that opening in the stencil, which is intended for you to be able to do the balloon string. And then I've just carefully peeled my project off my waffle flower grip mat. I'm adding these Harlequin mixed media additive bits onto my balloon while the glossy accents is still wet, and that's going to grip those little pieces. And as I mentioned before, they're kind of like little paint chips, so they're hard, but they're actually quite brittle, so you can break them up if you wanted to. You could actually crush them up into smaller pieces, but because they're quite solid little flecks, you can move them around a little bit, which is what I'm doing here to make sure that none of them have gone outside the line of the balloon. And you can leave them kind of standing up, protruding, as some of them will do that. That's how they fall when you apply them onto your project. Or you can do what I do, or have just done in that video there, and press them down so they're nice and flat. And then off screen, I actually redid my balloon stencil. I'm not going to lie. I had got too much glossy accents under the stencil. It had kind of smudged out the sides and I didn't like how it looked. So I've just repeated that process exactly as before and produced a new version. I put slightly fewer Harlequin little kind of paint chips in this one, and I like that kind of subtlety that it brings to it. So I've decided to stamp on a happy birthday sentiment here. You can never have too many birthday cards in your stash. So I'm using the happy birthday stamp from MFT Stamps. I've stamped the happy sentiment, the outline version from the set, in Stays On ink. And I am just adding the birthday wording over the top, and I've been careful to line that up so that you can see the letters between the gaps in the word happy. And the reason why I've decided to use Stays On ink for today's project is because it's very good at adhering to lots of different types of surfaces. So I wasn't sure how normal ink would go over the Harlequin mixed media additive, so I thought I would give the Stays On ink a try, and that's stamped on top of it really nicely. So I'm just going to trim my card panel down. I'm planning on adding a little border to the bottom just to kind of tie in the black and white of the happy birthday sentiment. I have got some black and white striped paper from MFT Stamps, and I'm going to add that to the bottom as a border. So I cut off about 1/2 inch from the bottom of my card panel to make it 4¼ inches wide by about 5 inches long. So I'm going to trim down this piece of striped paper to about 1 inch in height, and that is just so that I've got enough space to be able to adhere it to the reverse of my card panel and still have that extra 1/2 inch showing below the bottom of the card panel to make the entire thing up to an A2 size again. So I'm just going to adhere it on with some tape runner, and once that is done I'm going to turn my panel over and then I'm going to trim the excess away with my Tim Holtz scissors. And for one final bit of detail on the front of the card panel, I'm going to grab a fine liner and I'm going to draw in the line where the balloon string would be. Finally, I'm going to come in with some enamel dots. These ones are from Craft LEA. I think that's the Mint collection, and I'm going to add some of these to the front of my card panel. So I'm using some of the darker dots towards the bottom and the lighter dots towards the top to match the colours of the ink blending. And then I'm just adding some tape runner to a pre-folded A2 note card. So I'm going to add my finished card panel onto the front, and then that finishes up my card for today. So I hope you like this clean and simple take on mixed media. I actually really like it. I love all the shine on the balloon, and I think those mixed media additives just really add something to the party. They make it look like confetti and they just give it a little bit of texture and a bit more interest. So I hope you will join me and the rest of the team to check out what we did with the rest of the mixed media release, and I hope to see you again here soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.